I think I know most of you, so I know who I am. So obviously I'm Heather Musgrove, and I am part of Vasta retreats because I am passionate about what these retreats and events can do for people's lives. And a bit of a history of why I got into this was what I see all day long is people coming in with multiple issues. It's not just their physical health, it's that they've got weight they want to lose, that they're not sleeping well, that they're not doing exercise, that they don't really like their job, they've got problems at home. Like, it's not just their body, it's their mind, body and spirit that is out of balance. And once as things start to go out of balance, it takes, gets further and further and further out of balance, and it takes quite a lot of work to get it back in balance. And what I was seeing in my now 12 years of practice is that coming along for an hour a month, because that's about all I can fit people in for, it's a slow journey by the time we nourish up the adrenals and get them into a yoga class and teach them some meditation and get an exercise regime going. And when I met John, which I'll share a bit more about that later, what his program offers is a fast track. So what I saw in this program was, oh my goodness, this is the gold ticket. This is the way when people come in all broken to say, come for 5 days, and that's going to save you 5 years of slow progress. So it's like, it's the accelerated version of getting the life into balance. So obviously, for me as a practitioner, and for those who are watching this online, I'm a naturopath, functional medicine practitioner, herbalist, nutritionist. If I had a product that those who wanted to do it could fast track themselves 5 years, obviously I'm going to have happier, healthier clients and less workload on me, really. So in my own journey, I've done a lot of retreats, spiritual work, seminars, like right back when I was in my very early 20s, I was going to 12-step programs, I was going to the big American authors were first coming into Australia in the early to mid 80s, and I was going to all those things and seeing Louise Hay when she came to Australia for one and only time. So I have done a lot of things myself, but and I think one of my colleagues who did the retreat best summed it up, and she said, he does a bit of NLP, neuro-linguistic program, you do a bit of tapping, emotional freedom technique, do a lot of meditating, do a lot of affirmations, you do a lot of family of origin, you do a lot of EFT, like you just merge all the modalities that sometimes you can spend decades, a weekend on this and a day on that, and read a book about that. But he brings it all together in a program that's really simple and very, very user-friendly. So John himself, and he'll admit, he's not an academic, so there's no note-taking, it's all hands-on. So right from day one, we're using the tools that he teaches, and the entire program is programmed in with meditation. But it's not the traditional type of meditation where you sit and try to silence your mind. He guides you the whole time. It's all guided meditation. So that makes it very easy if you've never meditated before, because all you need to do is follow his voice and listen to the words that he's saying. And he uses every tool in the box. So he uses entrainment music, so that's alpha beats that put your brain rhythm in a rhythm where it's you can absorb it and take it in. And we use the chakras, it's very chakra based as our way to bring you down into that state, and uses powerful affirmations. So it's sort of a combination of all the modalities into one 5-day event. So John found this work himself when he had a health challenge in his early 30s, and he was probably a typical Italian-Australian man, had a fair bit of ego going on, and he had a big challenge, and someone introduced him to, back then it was called Alpha Dynamics, and there are people around who've done those programs, which originally came out of the US. And he went and did a weekend and was just, oh my God, this is going to change my life, and it did. And then he sort of felt that this was his life's calling. So he's been doing this for over 35 years in various formats. predominantly most of his career it was a 2.5 day very intensive event, like big convention centres and lots of people. But when we met, and I said, well, what do you want to do with this? I said, I'd rather that retreat format. So it's very nurturing environment, and the pace is it's still a fairly active pace, but getting people away from their stresses at home, away from work, in a beautiful, the house we go to is absolutely gorgeous, 1920s house, and we have the whole place, it's surrounded by a 100-year-old hedge, and it's just beautiful. We have beautiful organic local produce, and we do yoga every morning, we go for bushwalks and have steam hammams, and there's lots of fun as well as the program. So we've been doing this for 7 years now, and this retreat coming up in April this year will be our last live-in one, which excuse me, for me it's quite sad because I think it's the best model, but it's a lot of logistic work. It's like having 2 weddings a year, and you've always got to have the right numbers for the caterers and the right numbers for the house. And now that we have this beautiful facility here, we're actually going to revamp the retreat into 2 3-day modules. So you do part the first 3 days and then wait till next time John comes and then do the second 3 days, which you'll still get all the knowledge, but you won't have that cocooning experience, because we have a lot of fun at night too. John goes off to his little man cave and we get Cynthia and my crystal ball out and we have some fun. So, so that's sort of, it's a very, very difficult thing to explain. And I'm sure that you've all heard people say it changed their life. And it's hard to articulate how it does that. But what it does is that whatever it is that you need, it will be in this 5-day program. So if it's you need help with relationships, they will definitely be there. And that can be with people past or present, if someone has passed over as well. If you need help with health, there'll be something there for you. If you need help with direction, there'll be something there. If it's with sleep, if it's with self-esteem, it doesn't matter what it is, you'll get what you want. And many of the graduates actually come back and do the retreat again and again because they're at a different place of their life and they want something different. And they actually say, I didn't hear him say that last time. Well, that's because that wasn't what they needed last time. They were listening for the thing that they needed at the time, and they come back and they do it again. So we've had people that have done this retreat we currently have 4 times. So yeah, it's a pretty powerful program. So a little bit about this. So the first couple of days of the retreat, it's really about understanding our brain, how we get programmed, how 95% of what we all do is subconscious. So if you think about when you pulled up tonight in the car, you drove in, you put your foot on the brake, you turned the ignition off, you took the keys out of the ignition, you got out of the car, you shut the car, you locked the door and you came in here. But you didn't have to think about most of that. It was just a program that's running. So most of our actions per day are subconscious. So the only way we can change what we do is to go back and change the program. And the programs, most of them are set by the time we're 7 years old. So this is why change is so difficult as adults, because we don't rewrite the program. So to rewrite the program, we have to get back into alpha. And as adults, we spend most of our time here in beta. And these are the speeds that the brain rhythms go. So beta is fast and active, and I'm doing the accounts and I'm writing the shopping list and I'm thinking about what's for dinner, but that's where adults spend most of their time. So we wake up and we have a coffee and boom, we're straight into alpha and we stay there all day. So, but that's also logic, reasoning, fear, sarcasm, all those characteristics come in alpha. So that's like our ego, that's where our ego is living, and it's like really dominating us. But when we're little children and we little kids that sit around and, you know, what are you looking at? I don't know. You know, come and have dinner and they take 10 minutes to come. What have you been doing? I don't know. They're in alpha, because in alpha, it's a meditative state, it's a creative state, it's a rapid learning state, it's a rapid healing state. So we spend as much time as we can at the retreat in alpha, using all those tools to make sure that we're in alpha. Because what we're trying to do is reprogram the negative programs, or the programs that we've got running in our head that aren't serving us anymore, that we don't want that program that one of our parents had, that, you know, I'll never have enough money, or people with money are bad, or whatever that subconscious program is running, that we then, that has an influence on our life today and we don't even know why. So that's why we use the brain rhythms. And then we do have more rhythms. We have theta, which is when we're asleep, and delta when we're really, really deeply asleep. But we want to be here as much as we possibly can, and that's where little kids are. So, and that's where we can reprogram, improve our memory, all that sort of thing. So the first 2 days we're going to go through understanding all of that, but we do some really cool stuff even on day one. Then we start to go through more about relationships and you as a person and your health state and what you want to do, and then we go on the last day even into even more powerful reprogramming of you as an individual. So it's sort of a journey that gets better each day. Every day actually gets better and better and better. And there's there's some exercises that people don't want to do, but it's an experiential retreat. So you're not sitting there thinking, oh, I might do that one day, that sounds pretty good. You'll be doing it. But it's not the type where you have to stand up in front of a group like me and share. It's not like that at all. When we do exercises, we do them in couples, like face. So if you can see this photo here, this is a group doing an exercise. So they need to meet with their partner. And just like you pulled the right card tonight, you always end up with the right person for that exercise. It's quite amazing. So while I'm here, I'll explain this. So whilst I love all the spiritual stuff, I still come from a very scientific background. I am a nurse and a midwife and a functional medicine practitioner. I'm very grounded in science. So of course I was seeing these massive transformations in people, and I would sit at the back of the room and you could literally see the penny drop. And sometimes it's not till the last day. I remember one lady, she sat there 4.5 days, and I saw the minute that she went, I've got it. So, you actually see the transformations happen before your eyes. So I wanted to try and get some evidence behind this. Like, how can I actually prove that this is doing a good job? So we did a little study. So what I wanted to do was find out what effect the 5-day retreat had on things that we know are measures of stress. Because basically 75% of all visits to any health practitioner are related to stress. So you might think you've got a sore back because you did gardening, but stress will be a component in that. So I wanted to look at stress markers. And I didn't have a massive budget, so I did pH. So any of those who've been to see me, I usually always do that on the first visit. So that's measuring how acidic your body is. And the more acidic your body is, the more stressed it is. So the ideal pH for us is around 7.2, 7.25. So when I tested them all and we got there Sunday night, the average was 5.5, which is quite acidic. And when I tested them on Friday, the average was 6.75. So eating all the organic, local, natural produce and having a week of a lot less stress, everyone's physiologically had improved in their acid. Then I wanted to do an even better one, and this is a test that cost a bit of money, but what I did on the Friday night was I did a saliva cortisol reading. So that's where you spit in a little bottle, and cortisol is our stress hormone. That is our fight and flight stress hormone. And I sent those all off to a lab in Melbourne, and then on the Friday, I retested everyone's cortisol levels. Like, let's see what we can do in 5 days. Now this red bar is how many people had abnormal cortisol when we got there Friday, and this is how many had abnormal cortisol by the end of 5 days. But a massive improvement. The 93% of people had a positive change in their cortisol readings in just 5 days. And then there's another tool that I use. I still use this every single client. It's called a mood and stress appraisal, and it's an internationally recognised measurement of anxiety and depression, stress. So I made everyone fill that in when they got there, and then I made them all do it again when we were leaving. And again, 92% had a reduction in their mood stress appraisal. So for me, that was just like my little, and I presented this at an international conference the year after we did it, just to show that, well, do health retreats create a physiological and psychological change? And in my little study, yes, they did. So that's the science, but you probably want to hear what graduates actually say. And there was some coming along tonight, but life gets in the way. So, what do we? I want to read out a few to you. So this one is from. So we do have several products. So that these will jump around a little bit. So the 5-day retreat, the last one that's coming up, is by far the gold product. That is just everything's covered, great environment, fantastic. We also have just rewritten our 2-day event into a 3-day event, and this is the start of breaking the retreat into 2 modules. So we will be doing that here in April as well for the first 3 days, for the people who can't get away or need to break it up. So some of these are about our 2-day weekend that we used to do, and some are about the retreat. So this one is, this was the most amazing week which had provided me with the opportunity to let go of all my childhood issues which have had a negative impact on my life up until now. I now know and appreciate what love is and can embrace it with everything I am, but more importantly, I know it's okay to love me and everything I am. Thank you for giving me my happy life back and giving me the tools to give to my children as well. So that's someone from the retreat, October 17. My 5-day experience was so uplifting. Sometimes people can get lost, while this retreat makes you focus on the positives, love and light, to be able to be comfortable, to have a comfortable lifestyle to live and to love. October 17. This one was simple, the icing on the cake. Needed to make sure I had all the layers. Now I have, and I am looking forward to the next step. Thank you for taking me to this final step. Again, that was someone who repeated it. I'm not going to read out to you, I read a couple more. Over the weekend, I took part of in John Vasta's 2-day vision seminar here in Mildura. Not what I expected. It was a mind-blowing experience where I learned so many tools, simple ones too. We have no issue with spending money on superficial things like getting nails, hair, tans done or buying new clothes. But how often do you spend your money on learning more about yourself to create change on an inner level? The level that actually creates beauty and happiness from within. No matter what your goals are in life, to be healthy, fit, lose weight, break a habit or pattern, stop procrastinating, overcome anxiety or depression, have more love in your life, improve your memory, etc. You can seriously benefit from this knowledge. There was a 9-year-old, students in Year 12, business owners, men of all ages and a whole range of individuals, each who benefited dramatically. My brain already feels superhuman and supercharged. For me, it was also one of the deepest meditative experiences I've ever had. If I were you, I'd put yourself first and dive right into one of their retreats for the ultimate experience. So grateful for this, Heather and John. That was a pretty good one. So she's very articulate. So it is for everyone, and there is no age limit. And we've had people come who are illiterate and struggle with reading and writing, and still got heaps and heaps out of this. So there's no barrier. We haven't had young children at the 5-day retreat, but we certainly have had them at the weekend events. And that little 9-year-old boy, oh my God, he just meditated like a trooper the whole time. He just straight in, and he sat there the whole time. It was just fantastic. And his parents had come from Adelaide, so they just brought him with us, and he just was part of the event. Alright, I've got one more from this lady who would really have liked to have been here tonight, so she wrote this for me. and she really wants me to read this out. So hello everyone, my name is Helen. I am unable to be here tonight, but I would like to tell you of my experience of the Vasta retreat. I have been experiencing frustrating ill health on and off for the past 4 years, with no proper diagnosis or answers being offered. My sister-in-law had done the retreat in July, and when she returned, she said, Helen, you have to do this retreat. Your body is crying out for it. Due to the fact that I had to give up work because of my illness, I was concerned about the cost, but something inside me was telling me to go. I came to Mildura for the information night, just as you are doing tonight. I listened to John and I thought, wow, this is what I need. My sister-in-law was right. I arrived at the retreat not knowing anybody. I had met Heather briefly a few times, but that was all. There were times during the retreat that I thought, this just isn't, I just didn't get it. And that I was out of my depth and that I was somehow failing. There were familiar feelings, these were familiar feelings for me. I was at it in my life. Does this sound familiar to you? Moving on to today, I'm so glad I had the Vasta retreat. My life has changed for the better. Not by me making huge changes myself, but by following the principles that John taught me. I follow them each and every day. People comment on how relaxed and happy I look. My health is improving and my relationships are improving. And in fact, I'm so busy focusing on what I'm learning each day that I rarely think of the pain. My priorities have changed for the better. So if you're sitting here tonight not quite sure about the retreat, follow your gut feeling. Deep down, you'll know if it's right for you. It was the best decision I've made, and I intend to be around for the next 30 or 40 years, and I intend to continue to enjoy the journey that I'm on. And remember, it's not the years in our life, but the life in your years. Go for it. And a big thank you to John and the team. Helen. So, yeah, there's some, passionate, and that's when people say to you, it changed my life. It's so hard to articulate that. And she actually wrote a poem as well, but we probably had enough of them banging on. So, questions. You've got to hit me. This is an information session. So I know that everyone here has a little question in the back of their mind that they're thinking, what are the rooms like, or what if I don't like the food, or because remember that your ego is trying to worry you and make sure you don't do this because it doesn't want to lose control. So hit me with the questions.
Is it going to be too much for me to handle?
Absolutely not, because your brain will filter what you need to hear. And I can tell you that people will sit there and say, he didn't do that last time. I say, yeah, he did, but you weren't ready to hear it. So if a session or something comes up that you're not ready for, you go off into la la land or stare out the window or nod off to sleep or something. So no, and I've seen this repeatedly with the graduates that come back over and over and also, he didn't do that. So yeah, he did do that. Yeah, he's like, wind him up, push play. He definitely did it. So no, that doesn't happen. But that is the fear coming in where you think, oh no, it's too much for me. And we did have a lady did a runner once, a few retreats ago. It was really funny. It was in the first 2 days, so we weren't doing anything full on at all. And I got up on the second day and she didn't come to breakfast. I thought, that's a bit strange. So I went into her room and there was a note, thanks Heather, I think this is for all those other people and I don't want to hold them back or something like that. Sorry to have messed you around, I'm gone. And she lived in Melbourne, so she'd done a run back to Melbourne. Anyway, those who know me know subtlety is not one of my strong points. So I sent her a text and said, whatever you're running away from will still be there. You've already paid for this, you might as well come back and face it now, or it's going to be there, whatever you're running away from. Oh, and then there was like a text this long of all the reasons why she couldn't come back, and I straight back, you're running away and it will still be there, whatever it is you think you don't want to face. And then, okay, I'm on my way back. And she came back and oh, she had a great time, and it was really, really good. So even when you get a bit like, oh, I don't know what's coming up, you just sit in it and it'll be absolutely fine. Good question. Righto, Kylie.
No, well, I came because the leg was coming. Well, I know, like my sister-in-law Anna.
She did,
She
yes.
did it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And her husband.
Yes.
And who would have thought he
Yeah.
would get through it? And he did. And
Yeah.
it was really beneficial.
Yeah. I think she really enjoyed it. Would it be good for Pass?
Absolutely. Because where does he live?
Yeah.
He lives here.
Yeah, and the anxiety.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And you know, the younger you get these tools, the better off you are. Like we'll always benefit no matter what age we learn this stuff. But I mean, I made one of my children do it in the middle of year 12. Oh, I can't do it, I can't. Well, you're doing it. So that's when we're doing them in Queensland. And my girls both did the retreat pre-18. And you know, then they had all those skills to manifest the ATARs that they wanted. You know, Erica got 99.9 and Peter got 99.8. No, they had all those skills. So the younger you can do this stuff, the better.
So how many people was on a retreat?
Around somewhere between 10 and 15. So they're quite small. Yeah. But it's a beautiful venue. It's going to be sad not to be going back there after this time, but yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. If couples go, sensational. It often doesn't work out that way because, you know, often the wife will go first. And so that lady that I just read out that piece from, her husband's coming to this retreat on his own.
Yeah.
He's, I think he's still driving buses from Swan Hill. And he's coming. And you know, that's pretty scary for a man.
Yeah.
And he's going to rock up. He knows me briefly, but he won't know a soul. And they've been planning that for a long time for him to do it. But then sometimes I had a lady came and did it, and then she came back and did it again with her husband. So it's great if, you know, and we've had young couples do it before who've had children. Fantastic. So every demographic comes along. Kayla, did you have any questions?
I've done a retreat, an MSC retreat about 10 years ago and got a lot out of that, and it talks similar things. So yeah, I was just very interested in.
Yeah.
You sort of forget your tools that you learn.
Yes. And look, I'll tell you what, this is the gift that keeps on giving, because we started the retreats in 2014, and I am still putting on free workshops for the graduates. So they, you know, it is 7 years later, and we've had 2 already this year. So I do workshops, and we made our vision boards a couple of weeks ago. So we try and keep that connection and that group going. We have a private Facebook group, so people can put on something that's challenging them, or they can even just put on there, you know, please send me some positive energy, I'm going for a job interview today, or whatever. So it's not like go do it, see you later. Well, not when I'm involved anyway, because I actually nurture the group of graduates from here immensely. And we, you know, we've had some amazing friendships come out of the retreats. People have travelled overseas together and all sorts of things. And yeah, so that's really lovely. So we do keep you, you know, the cards are brand new. I wrote those last year. So that's just another way. If you're not doing the meditation every day, you can pull a card. And, you know, trying to have lots of tools to keep you connected and using them. Because that's right, you have to use it to get the benefit. Yeah. Doug,
Yes.
what would you like to
A
say?
few questions.
Good, far away.
You've answered a couple, I think, but yeah, you mentioned couples.
Yes.
Would you recommend together, or would you recommend separate?
I think together is amazing,
Yeah.
and once you experience an exercise that we do, even though I've done the exercise with every type of person, from someone I don't know to someone I know, but when I did that exercise with my husband, yeah, game changer.
Yeah.
So I would definitely recommend together.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic.
Yeah, so it's really, really takes things to the next level.
Okay. And that obviously depends on child minding and things
That's
like that.
that's the
Sure.
challenging thing, and that's why people often are separate, because they've got those issues. But I mean, guarantee you at the end of it all, they're all saying, I wish my partner was here. Because then suddenly you've evolved and you've changed, and you're going to go back home and you're not actually the same person that left. So there's always that desire that your partner was on that journey with you. Yeah. So I've seen couples that I had one lady, and she was quite upset. She said, well, it's either this or a divorce, and they completely reconnected at a different level. So, much cheaper than a divorce. Yeah, and it was really lovely to be a part of that, to see that.
Dates, so is this run throughout the week or weekend?
Yes, so
Monday
check in
to
on
Friday?
Sunday evening.
Yeah.
So dinner's included Sunday night, so usually everyone arrives around 6 p.m. because the venue has, every weekend is basically booked out for years. So the weekenders have gone when we get there Sunday evening, and we run through till Friday about 3 p.m. to give people time to get back here. So it is through the week.
Mhm.
And that's how we can get a slot at this place, because you can't get a weekend. You can't. It's just too busy.
Yeah.
So it's run from Sunday through to Friday. But finishing at 3 gives everyone time to drive back here. It's about 4.5 hours away.
And what were the dates?
We're checking in on April the 11th and checking out on April the 16th. Yeah. And so it's pretty cool.
And so support afterwards, you said you do run workshops afterwards, like you said, if you're not continually kind of going over all these tools.
They are programmed in, but what the workshops are about is keeping you connected and keeping you on track. So sometimes people just come to a workshop because they know they've dropped off on their meditation, or they know that some of their negative thought patterns are coming back, and then amazingly the topic, because I've never done a workshop that's the same yet in 7 years, so we'll have a different theme that we discuss, but it always will be something beneficial. We always meditate together, and so.
Do you run them regularly?
Yeah, so I have to fit it in with my ridiculous schedule, but now that one of the amazing things is now we have this venue, so that makes it a lot easier, because I was always trying to find somebody to do it and find out if we could use it and all the rest. So it's usually on a Saturday, because I'm working the rest of the time, and we might only be an hour and a half, but we just do a little workshop, and sometimes we Zoom John in on the projector, sometimes we phone him in, and he may guide us through something, or sometimes we'll just do it all ourselves. Yeah, so that's the gift that keeps on giving, for sure. Yeah. And it's great for me too, because there's obviously a reason I'm doing all of this, and it's that development of myself as well. So yeah, it's good. What about you, Mark?
Mine's pretty benign. Do you get a room to yourself?
So it is twin share, but the house has 12 bedrooms, all with en-suites. That's all brand new bathrooms. And some of the rooms are queen, so it depends on who's coming. There's one king room with a clawfoot bath, so I always give that to a couple if they come. And then, someone registered today who's she's coming with her mum, so they'll obviously go in a twin room and share. But yeah, it depends on how many people we've got and how the mix. Like the man coming on his own, he'll probably get one of the queen rooms, because there's probably unlikely to be another man on their own. So yes, that is to my discretion. I have to do the bed plan when we worked out who's coming, but it always works out. And the place is full of bathrooms. It's really beautiful, and it's absolutely gorgeous down there in autumn. Oh my God, if you've never been to Dartford in autumn, it's beautiful.
And is the food vegan, or is it just
No, it's
healthy?
low meat, low sugar, gluten free, predominantly dairy free, locally sourced.
Mhm.
So we do have a bit of chicken and a bit of fish and stuff, but it's predominantly lots and lots of really healthy salads and soups and things like that.
And what's the starting times like of a morning and evening?
So yoga's usually at 6 a.m. And we usually finished, by 5. some days we finish a bit earlier and we have other activities going on, and some days we finish early and I take you for a bushwalk past all the local springs and try all the mineral springs. So it does vary through the timetable, but it is, you get a lot, there's a lot in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any
Okay.
questions?
That's about it, I think, from me.
Doug, you had another one?
Yeah, I just wondered how many spaces are available.
So I think, so some of the people coming this time obviously were coming a year ago, so I've got to confirm all those, but at the moment there's probably 8 or 9 spots available. And we do have to get to that threshold for the house anyway, so the 2 booked on today, mother and daughter. So yeah, there's plenty of availability, but obviously the sooner we know numbers, we can lock it all in and start working on menus. And the interesting thing about that is I've seen some amazing things happen. And this may be a little bit too much for people at this stage, but once you commit, your soul knows what's coming. And it's really amazing because people get in the flow before they even get there. And I've had some amazing things people have rung up. I said, you couldn't believe this. Like that lady I was speaking about, Helen, she didn't have the money. She had been working for years and she booked in and she said, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this, but I'm coming. Somebody turned up that had owed her and her husband money for 9 years out of the blue and said, here's that money I owe you, I'm really sorry. And it was nearly to the dollar, what she needed for the retreat. Like, and I had another lady who lots and lots of anxiety, like heaps of anxiety. And I said, look, you know, and this is what I'm saying, I can't, you know, an hour a month, we don't have enough time to sort all this out, and lots of anxiety. I said, you really need to come on the retreat. Oh, look, we don't have any money. And I said, well, look, you know, I've had these other experiences, just book on and see what happens. So she booked in, and then they went and got their tax done, and she didn't realise that their block had been running at a loss all year. So she has a job. So she suddenly got all of her income tax for the whole year back. It was like $17,000. And her husband said, oh great, I'm going to do it. And she went, no. I'm having this and I'm going on retreat first. And then I had another lady, similar thing. And a credit card turned up in the mail a couple of days later. And it was one of those, you know, you didn't ask for it. And it said, you know, you can use this and you don't have to pay a cent for a year and no interest. Like it was an interest free. She said, so I activated it and she said, and this is the only thing I'm putting on it, and then I've got a year to pay it off. So it's just weird, things like that happen. And people are like, but I haven't even done it yet. I know, but your soul knows what you're going to do. So it's almost like you get rewarded when you commit. So I've seen an incredible amount of amazing transformations. And just, you know, I could talk all night about individual cases of things that. And when you come back, of course, you're in the flow so much that it's like at warp speed. Things just fall into place all over the place. You know, you find the house you've been looking for 10 years and you get the promotion and the man comes into your life and all these things happen at different speeds for everyone, but often at the start can be quite things are manifesting. So, any more questions? Remember, I was going to do the ESP exercise with you. So, what? Everyone needs just, oh, sorry, I don't have a lot of pens. So, rip off a piece of paper and take a texter. And then I'll need that mat back. I haven't done this for a while.
Do you want me to take video? Yes.
No, probably we'll stop that.
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
Or like this?
No, no.
No. Oh, that's